everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a makeup look that is quick but impactful. So it's going to kind of give you the most quick bang for your buck. So when you really need to kind of step up your makeup game, but you don't really have a lot of time, you don't want to use a lot of products, it's going to kind of be that perfect in between for you. And I try to keep everything drugstore friendly. So if you'd like to see me do this with more high-end products, I can do that as well, as kind of what my choices are for that. But like I said, this is just a good way of like getting out the door quickly. So let's get started. I'm gonna kind of pin my hair back here. So the first product I am going to use is the Milani Prime and Correct. This is the face primer. This is supposed to help with discoloration and to minimize pores, and I do have some pore issues. I'm gonna do this first. I'm just gonna apply it all over. And when we get into some of the like eyeshadow looks, I will go ahead and probably try to zoom you in closer. The thing I like about this primer in particular is it's kind of a cross between a pore filling, like the Pore Professional or the Smashbox, but it's a little more silky, kind of has that silicone-y thing, flavor. I shouldn't talk before I put this on. But it has more of that like satiny finish, so your skin just feels really nice and smooth. Next thing I'm gonna do is the Pixie by Petr primer. This is the correcting primer in brightening peach. I'm just gonna use that on my inner corners as well as some of these dark circles. Sometimes I use this before I put on foundation, sometimes I use it after. The foundation I'm using is a little bit of a thinner foundation, so I'm gonna use this before. I have really bad dark circles. So for me, this is just a good way to get rid of those. Okay. So next we are going to be using the Ulta Moisturizing stick, foundation stick. So it just looks like this. I am in the color light to medium cool, which I don't know, I guess this is kind of cool. And I'm just gonna draw it on my face. I just need a lot more on my chin. I use quite a bit. So like I said, this is a thinner one. I'm gonna use the Wet n Wild, this isn't from their holiday kit, foundation brush. I like this brush, but I think if you're looking for a drugstore foundation brush, I think the e.l.f. one is better. I just don't have that in my collection right now, because I decided that, well, I had this one, and I have like a high-end one too that I really like, that I didn't really need to repurchase it, but and I don't like this one too much, I probably do need to repurchase it. But where I just was, I just bought some stuff yesterday. They did not have it. They were, at least I didn't see it. But I was at Walmart and their e.l.f. stuff is in like several different places, so I never really can find anything that I'm looking for. When I go there. All right, let me zoom you in. So next thing I'm gonna do is put on concealer, and I'm going to use the Maybelline Age Rewind. I am in the color, oh, this is the neutralizer one. It's supposed to help with dark circles. I don't know the help I can get. So I'm just going to use this definitely under here. Always around my nose. And cover up some of these zits. I get a lot of zits on my chin. I'm gonna blend that out. This looks just like the L'Oreal sponge, but it's actually the Morphe sponge. Just trying it. I've tried a lot of sponges. Let's just say I have not found one that has been like my holy grail. because I'm constantly trying sponges. I have some I like more than others. But none that have been like, oh my god, best sponge ever. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set some of that. And I'm going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me powder. I'm in Fairlight. And just put that a little bit on my under eyes. I'm just kind of patting out any of the lines before I set it because I'm sure I blinked. Alright, and then I just use my sponge to set my chin. And then I have some lines in my forehead because that's what getting older does. Now I've set around my nose. And then I will take a big brush. This is the e.l.f. powder brush. The weird thing about this brush is in the packaging, it does not look this big and fluffy. But like when you get it, it just kind of spreads out. I think this is beautiful. I've used this for a very long time. I like e.l.f. brushes. I feel like they wash really well. Okay, so I just like to go over kind of. I do think that this foundation stick is one you kind of have to set, so just because it is again more moisturizing. If you have really dry skin, you might not need to, but me personally, I need to set it. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is do my brows, and I am using the e.l.f. brow pencil, and I want to say this is just like natural brown. Yes, neutral brown. It's like, I know. I've used this for years. Trying to use up a high-end one I have in my drawer, but then I will strictly be using this. Okay, it's just gonna work. They're never perfect. Sorry, I just noticed I had like some powder on my chin. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on an eyeshadow primer, and I'm going to use the Ulta matte primer. I've used a lot of primers. I think this one's really good. I know a lot of people talk about the Milani one. I've never used the Milani one, so I don't know how that one compares. It's next on my list of things to try. It seems like whenever I'm like, oh, I'm going to purchase that one next, and I run out, then something happens and somehow I get a different eye primer. And then I never end up needing it. And I feel like eye primers in general, because you don't really need a lot, you don't go through them that quickly. Let me grab my eyeshadow brushes. So the first brush I'm going to use just to set my primer is this Wet n Wild. I don't even know which brush this is. It's a Wet n Wild brush. It's kind of fluffy. And then the eyeshadow palette I'm using is the Milani, which is going to be Must Loved Mattes. I'm just gonna put this all over. And I have hooded eyes. Let me get a little bit closer for you. The blending brush I'm going to use is this Wet n Wild. This is like one of my favorite, not just this one in the holiday set, but they make this even in their regular set. It's just hard to find. But it's like their blending crease brush. I don't even know. It's amazing. And I don't know why this one in particular is so hard to find. I always find a lot of the other ones, but I never always find this one. Alright, so I'm just going to take this as like this is going to be the shadow right here. I set using this one up at the top. This is like the brown row. It's like a brown row, purple row, and an orange row in this palette. They're all very good. It's like one of my go-to travel palettes. A lot of times what I'll do is I will use this palette when I travel, and then I will just bring like a shimmery shadow, like a Colourpop Super Shock shadow or something, if I decide that I want some sparkle. Okay, so next I'm just gonna, so I just kind of made that transition And then the next one I'm going to use is this. Let me turn this over so you don't get the glare. This medium brown right here with the same brush. And I'm just going to deepen up the corner. And then just take it just under where I went the last time and about halfway through my crease. So again, mostly on the corner and then just like halfway through the crease, just under where I went before. Here's a tip if you're having a hard time with blending. Dip your color in lightly. Try not to pick up too much product because it's better to build it up. It makes for, you know, not really making a lot of mistakes. And hold your brush more at the end because you'll get more wiggle. Like you won't be putting as much pressure. And then I'm just going to take that lighter second color again and just blend up. Kind of see? Okay. The next thing I'm going to do, just to give it even a little bit more of an impact, I'm going to take this e.l.f. I think this is their blending eye brush, which doesn't really look like a great blending brush. And I'm going to take that last dark color right here and just really concentrate that right near my lower lash line and right in the outermost V. And then I kind of take it about halfway across my lid, but really trying to stick as close to that lower lash line as possible. Right, and then we're gonna do the other side. Again, trying not to pick up a lot of product. It's just a lot easier to fix mistakes if you don't have a lot of pigment everywhere. And then I'm going to go back to that blending brush and just blend everything together. And then I'm going to take my finger into a mix of these two shades and just kind of pop it on my lid with going a lot lighter in the inner corner. Okay, so again, and then I'm just going to go back in and again just add a little bit more darkness into that V. And I feel like I need to do a little more blending. I feel like the shadow on this eye, can't tell if it's... And then if you get too crazy, you can always go back into this light shade right here with that brush you initially used and just kind of clean up just like that. Much better. There's never really... So the next thing I'm going to do, now that my eyes are almost done, I'm going to kind of do the rest of my face. Before I do my under eye, I guess we'll do my under eye. So again, I'm going to take that dark shade, that dark brown, and this is my e.l.f., I believe it's a smudge brush, my e.l.f. smudge brush. And I'm going to just get as close to that bottom lash line as I can. And again on the other side. I always feel like my mouth is hanging open. All right, and then I'm gonna take a mix of these two, but mostly the lighter shade. And I'm gonna blend all that out. So you're not going quite as tight to the line, just underneath it. Okay, so next thing I need to do is bronze, and I'm kind of gonna bronze contour all in one swoop, and I'm gonna use, of course, the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, because, is there anything else? No, I like this because it's matte, and this is going to be the e.l.f. angle brush. I love this. This is one of my favorites. Sorry, I'm gonna grab my mirror so I can see. And then I just take it, so it's like following the top of your ear to your mouth. If you were to make a line with your brush, that's where you want like blend it out. Same thing, so at the top of your ear. And I actually learned this watching YouTube videos. More. So I just like this brush because it blends it out really well, but it also gives you a pretty nice like line. So if you're using your bronzer as contour, which I tend to do a lot, it works. But I'm just gonna go across the tip of edge of my nose, and then I'm gonna take a little bit up just at the top just to kind of give my face some color. Just like that. And then I'm going to just take a little bit right here. I find that this also really helps with that transition for you, so you don't end up with like a foundation line. So just like that, I think that looks good. One of my favorites. I think it's funny, a lot of people talk about how this smells, and I mean, it's got a light scent. I don't really think it's that scented, but I have terrible sinus issues, so I'm always stuffed up. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this Milani. This is their powder blush in Tea Rose, so it's just a really nice pink. It does have a bit of a sheen to it when you swatch it, but when I put it on, I don't notice it as much. And then I'm using, this is an Eco Tools brush. I think it's supposed to be for powder. I like a more packed blush brush. I don't really like the flimsy ones, but this is not for everybody, but for me, I like the way it works. Grab some. And this thing is just so dang soft. Okay. I have used this blush forever, and look, it's like barely made it up. These are really nice. I like Milani blushes. Okay, let me just see how that looks real quick. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is do highlight. And I am using the Colourpop Super Shock Cheek in Flexatarian. And I'm just using, this is a Luxie brush. I mean, I guess Luxie's not drugstore. e.l.f. sells a blush brush that looks just like this though, so. Like, just like this. It's identical, only with a black handle. And I just dip in a little bit. I don't really go that crazy with it because you can get this like, see from space if you go insane. I'll show you what I mean. Let's see. Okay. And then I'm also going to use this. I'm going to take that same smudger brush I had earlier and just dip it in a little bit. I'm going to put this right in the inner corner. Trying to think of what's next. Next, I'm going to use the NYX Epic Ink liner. Quick little line. What crazy thing on one side, which like always happens. Okay. Typically I don't go that thick, but you know, eyeliner has a tendency to get out of control. Next, I'm going to use, this is the Covergirl Professional Super Thick Hydrofuge Mascara. I had read about this, I think on Ulta's website, and I actually do really like it. This one is starting to get a little old, and I have a mascara I just bought the other day. Alright, here you go. Okay, so all that's on. Now I have two different lip choices from the drugstore. If you don't want to go so impactful, you may want to go with more of my nude choice. My nude choice is Revlon in Sand, and I'll just show you real quick. You can definitely go, you know, more of a nude look to it. But for me, for this look, I think to make a really impactful, quick, easy, I'm actually going to use the Milani, because of the glare on the packaging, matte lipstick in Matte Beauty. Other one on. I really like their matte lipstick formula. It will dry down a little bit because I had something underneath it. It's going to take a little bit longer. And I think because I had something underneath it, it is coming across a little bit shiny, but typically it's not. But it's just such a nice color. Like, it's nude, but it's above nude. You know what I mean? Alright, so this is our finished look. What do we all think about it? So that's my quick drugstore, impactful, but easy makeup look. And I hope that you come back and check out my channel some more, and can't wait to see you guys again. Bye.